his name then? No! No!
Hey, welcome back, ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Airy, and Venom: The Last Dance just released a brand new trailer that may have revealed exactly how Venom and the symbionts are going to connect to Spider-Man 4 and Avengers: Secret Wars. So we're going to break down the big villain reveal of Knull, the creator of the symbionts, and a little later, I'm going to be joined by my two friends Colton Ogburn and Tommy Bechtold to get their thoughts on the Lethal Protector's last installment. So here's a brief breakdown of Knull's history and abilities. So Knull existed even before the universe. He is the representation of absolute darkness and destruction. When the Celestials began creating life, similar to what we've seen in the MCU with the Eternals, Knull despised their creation of light and went to war with the Celestials. Using his dark magic, he created a weapon called All Black, the Necro Sword, and he used this sword to decapitate a Celestial. In fact, in the comics, he decapitated Nowhere, the giant celestial head that we have seen in the Guardians of the Galaxy films.
What is it?
It's called Nowhere, the severed head of an ancient celestial being.
Now, you'll also remember that we actually saw the God-slain sword in the MCU's Thor: Love and Thunder. Just like in the comics, the MCU's Necro Sword is in possession of Gore the God Butcher, and it had a dark sentience of its own. And in the comics, the sword is actually the first of the symbionts, the slimy alien species of Venom and Carnage. Now, in the MCU, the Necro Sword isn't the symbiont, or at least they couldn't confirm that it was due to copyright reasons, but we think that that might be changing soon.
What's his name then? No!
Now, in the comics, Knull was defeated by the Celestials. In his solitude on a desolate planet, he began his own creation of life, which was the creation of the symbionts. The symbionts served as a hive mind under Knull, a hive mind of consciousness that we learn spans across the multiverse in Venom: Let There Be Carnage post-credits scene.
80 billion light years of hive knowledge across universes would explode your tiny little brain.
Now, with the multiverse saga of the MCU now in full swing, and Sony even participated in this saga with films like Spider-Man: No Way Home, which, by the way, did feature a disappointing Venom cameo.
This whole place here, it's just tons of super people.
But we think Sony could be wising up and laying the groundwork for an official MCU connection and correlation, of course, with Marvel Studios. Knull is a cosmic level threat that would serve perfectly as a multiverse saga big bad. Now, we know, of course, that Kang is no longer in play and Robert Downey Jr. is coming in as Dr. Doom. But I think that there's room for the god of the multiversal symbiote hive mind and creator of the Necro Sword to make an appearance in Doomsday and maybe even Secret Wars. Imagine a scenario where in Doom's takeover of the multiverse, we see him wipe out the TVA, the Council of Kangs, and even go toe-to-toe with Knull, eliminating any who stand in his way of becoming the God Emperor of the multiverse. Perhaps we could even see Doom take another multiversal version of the Necro Sword from Knull so that Doom can kill the remaining Celestials like Arishem from the Eternals. Now, in the original Secret Wars comics, we saw the introduction of the black suit for the first time when it bonded with Spider-Man. And we have reason to believe that this could happen in Spider-Man 4 or in Avengers: Secret Wars, which will finally show us Tom Holland's Spider-Man in the black suit. But this symbiote likely wouldn't be the same one that has possessed Eddie Brock for 3 films, because this version of the symbiote has always been portrayed as more lighthearted, more of an anti-hero. So perhaps the symbiote who possesses Peter is the Necro Sword symbiote, the All Black that we saw in Thor: Love and Thunder, that could then coat Spider-Man and bring out the cruel and vengeful nature that we expect from Spider-Man wearing a black suit.
I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye.
We could even learn that this is a multiversal variant of Tom Hardy's Venom. Now remember, Hardy's version of Venom only knows Spider-Man because he is connected to that multiversal hive mind of the symbiotes, meaning that he shares knowledge with other versions of himself from throughout the multiverse who have fought Spider-Man, such as Topher Grace's Venom in Spider-Man 3.
I want to kill the spider. You want to kill the spider. Together, he doesn't stand a chance.
The possibilities of what's next for Venom and Knull following Venom: The Last Dance and going into Spider-Man 4 and Secret Wars are really endless, and I'm super excited to see what they have in store for us. And let's just hope that it's not the usual slop that we get from Sony's live action, something to do with Spider-Man, I think. All right, and I am joined here with two of the best. We have Tommy Bechtold and our very own Colton Ogburn, who never forget is trapped in the TV but doesn't realize it, so please, please, please do not tell him. Tommy, you heard everything I had to say. Now, I want to add something into this before I get your take. So Daniel RPK, who is a leaker, but a very reliable leaker, has also said, he's, the rumor or his leaks have confirmed that every movie that's released between Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars will take place on Battleworld. And this is very cool. It calls back to the 2015 Secret Wars, where that crossover basically rewrote every Marvel title. And we saw like Old Man Logan in the Old Man Logan Battleworld area. So if that's the case, there's this date of a Marvel movie in July that was removed from their schedule, and then Daniel RPK surmised that it was removed because it's actually Sony's release date for Spider-Man, which would imply that rather than Spider-Man 4 being a street-level, down and dirty Daredevil and Spider-Man versus Kingpin, that it's actually going to take place on Battleworld, that would then imply that it involves other multiversal Spider-Men. And I'm not just talking Toby and Andrew. I'm saying that maybe we could see Spider-Man from Across the Spider-Verse, live-action Miles Morales, or maybe Venom. Now, as we talked about earlier, Spider-Man originally discovered the black costume, well, black symbiote, he thought it was a costume at the time, in Secret Wars issue 8 back in 1985. Seems like Marvel could be going that route if in this multiversal movie, if Spider-Man, right, if they have the rights to use Spider-Man in this movie, maybe the Marvel Studios also has the rights to use other Sony characters like Venom, like Madam Web, like Kraven. They could maybe even like have Madam Web die on screen if they want to get cheeky with it. Tommy Bechtold, what do you think about these possibilities? What do you think we're going to see with this symbiote and Venom appearing in Spider-Man and the MCU?
I'm bullish on it. I believe it will happen, but I do want to say if they do kill Madam Web, I want her to be launched like O.J. Simpson in The Naked Gun, where she's just sitting and then thrown into the center of Dodger Stadium. But no, yes, I think this makes perfect sense for Sony as a business decision to start getting some of these characters in the MCU. You know, that seemed to be the plan, and then the execution kind of led to their execution. I want Venom in the MCU, and I want more Spider-Man, and I want the Spider-Verse. I'd love to have Spider-Gwen, a live-action Spider-Gwen in the MCU.
Preach.
It's a shame that we already have Haley Steinfeld as not a shame, but I wish that she could be recast as Spider-Gwen. Because I think she would do a great job as live-action Spider-Gwen.
I think Emma Stone would be a great Spider-Gwen. I know,
and that would be
not the first time we've talked about it on the channel, but that would also be pretty great. So do you think that cool. So let me just rewind for a second then. Sure. Tommy, do you think that it would make sense for Spider-Man 4 to take place on Battleworld? Or
Absolutely.
Is that... Or,
I think once the Secret Wars kind of genie is out of the bottle, it's got to all be heading towards the movie, right? I don't think... One of the things that was kind of confusing to me after the snap was we had like a few movies in between then that had to it wasn't confusing. I guess one of the things that didn't work as well as other things that were handled so well with the last two Avengers movies was timeline stuff. Like movies that were like, oh, we're realizing this is taking place simultaneously. Movies that take place simultaneously, but like where like the big thing hasn't happened yet, and it happens at the end of the movie or in a post-credit scene. I would rather, with Secret Wars, it being this monumental event that kind of resets everything. Once we get to Doomsday, and once we figure out whatever the Robert Downey Jr. Dr. Doom plan is, I want it to be all Secret Wars all the time. No, I know, and in myself, I felt, you know, Spider-Man 4 would be great to return to some good old-fashioned Spider-Man cleaning up the streets of New York. I get it. But once the leak kind of came out that it was going to be a multiverse movie, this is the way that it's a multiverse movie that isn't, makes me go, like eye roll with exhaustion. It makes me eye roll with ecstasy.
You know, Colton, there's something that we saw in the first Venom 3 trailer, right? So it seemed like the post-credit scene of Venom Let There Be Carnage left a little baby symbiote behind that was going to attach to Tom Holland. Then in the trailer, we saw, nope, that actually is in this universe, and we see these agents seizing it. And that, to me, seems like a retcon. It seems like that maybe Sony was saying, oh, well, it makes sense for a Spider-Man in a cloth suit to want an alien symbiote suit to make him stronger. And then there were these rumors, like Tommy said, behind the scenes of Sony wants a multiversal spider crossover movie, kind of like how Fox forced Days of Future Past. And then Marvel wanted the street-level movie, and it seems like Sony won out. What are your thoughts on Spider-Man as a cosmic crossover film on Battleworld?
Well, it was 100% a retcon. That post-credit scene, you know, it shows Eddie Brock fade away back to his universe, and then it cuts to a close-up of a piece of symbiote left behind. That it is 100% retconning what we saw. I love the first Venom movie. Venom Let There Be Carnage. I've learned to like it, but I wasn't crazy about it when I first saw it. But Venom The Last Dance looks fantastic. I'm very excited. You know, I'm not a fan of the Sony live action something to do with Spider-Man universe. But I think the Venom stuff has been pretty solid. I've pitched before, as far as Spider-Man goes, that I would like to see them do the down-to-earth Spider-Man 4, and then hell, do Spider-Man 5 a year and a half later, before Secret Wars or before Doomsday or between the two. Have that one be on Battleworld.
Yeah.
I doubt they're gonna...
I just want to I want to plug something real quick. You actually, I think I hosted it, but you wrote a great video where you it was like fan fiction, but you broke down what a Spider-Man with the suit versus Kingpin would be, and it was so good. It's much better than what we've seen in some other Venom media. Really good video. You guys check it out. Sorry, I didn't want to step on you there, but have to mention that video. It was great.
I tease my wife about reading fan fiction, and then they point out that
then you turn around and
I write
it.
fan fiction for a living. I do think that, looking on the bright side, yes, the way No Way Home ended set things up perfectly for them to do the grounded Spider-Man story. Having said that, I think they can do the multiversal story, go into Secret Wars. We are in phase 6 of the multiverse saga. Things are ramping up. So maybe now is not the time to, cool down and do the grounded Spider-Man story. So maybe Spider-Man 4 should be that big Secret War, event type film that leads into Secret Wars, takes place around Doomsday. And then after that, when we get the in-canon reboot of the MCU, then maybe we can get that grounded Spider-Man story. And as far as Venom goes, I just want to add, I don't think this is the last time we're going to see Tom Hardy as Venom. I think Sony might be wising up and realizing,
really? Okay.
Hey, if we work a little closer with Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios, one, we might be received better, which in turn will make them more money. And we could see Venom then be incorporated in the same style as we have the Spider-Man deal between the two studios. I think Venom and other Sony-owned Spider-Man properties could be incorporated. So I really do think, I've said before, I think everyone is going to be in Secret Wars, and I really do think we're going to see Venom there.
Now, Tommy, that's an interesting point that Colton just raised. If the whole point of Secret Wars is to do a continuity reboot, and it really does seem like Marvel was introducing their characters one at a time as original characters. Spider-Man didn't turn out to be Andrew Garfield. It turned out to be a new guy. Then all of a sudden, when they bought Fox, they're trying to introduce the X-Men, but it's the X-Men that we knew before. it seems like they're doing a hybrid. And that I think that's why the multiverse saga even exists, just so they can bring IP in. If that's the case, do you think it would work? Yeah, the IP saga. Do you think it would work to bring in Tom Hardy's Venom into this rebooted, or are we missing something intrinsic about the Venom versus Spider-Man dynamic there?
Well, that is completely a divested Venom from the Spider-Man storyline as of right now. If anything, ironically, the Topher Grace Venom would be the one that would have more emotional stakes if he were to, come back and face, Toby, or have to.
And that would not be the worst thing, because I'm a fan of Topher Grace Venom. I like Topher Grace a lot, and I don't think he's done being in comic book movies.
I do too, and I think he also cares a lot about comic book and fantasy movies, and we need more people like that who really give a shit about the movies. Not to sound like a super fan, but it's like the people that tend to care a lot about it tend to end up producing something really great. Peter Jackson being a prime example. So yeah, I feel like Tom Hardy Venom, they need to bridge that gap somehow. Just having J. Jonah Jameson in Tom Hardy's universe isn't enough, right? It's got to be something more.
Do you mean Tom Holland's universe there?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but he could be in Tom Hardy's universe, though. We don't know. I still think Tom Hardy's universe is Andrew Garfield's.
Yes, which I would be totally fine with. I think that works for me as well. I just, I guess the thing that is kind of amazing about all three of the Spider-Men that we have on screen is that they have weak points. There are strengths and weaknesses to all of them that make each one arguably have a thing that fits better into Secret Wars, which is the genius, as Colton said,
true,
of being able to bring all these things in. Is the Green Goblin in the Amazing Spider-Man is not good, but who is awesome as the Green Goblin? Good old Willem Dafoe. So we maybe won't be bringing in Dane DeHaan or Chris Cooper.
Yeah, look, I don't want to have this same old fight again. But I agree. I still look back and go, I really wish the MCU would have just introduced their own Dr. Octopus, introduced their own Norman Osborn. I think they were doing great reinventing characters like the Vulture for this universe. And, you know, it seems more and more, it's interesting that over time, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been less and less an adaptation from the comics and more an adaptation of the movies, as we're seeing with, you know, Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom. For instance, there's an interesting thing going on here when we talk about variants, Colton, and that is, you know, Rhys Ifans has already been in the Spider-Verse. He played the Lizard. He played Kurt Connors, who kind of appeared in Spider-Man No Way Home. But then we saw him in this movie in trailer 1, you know, as this like hippie in a van. It's weird that they did that he's recast in this role. Do you think there's something maybe deeper to this, like tied into the reveals that we got in this trailer? And, you know, earlier we talked about how Knull could be a Thanos level villain. I kind of feel like there's something they're withholding from us that could tie into the multiverse saga.
Well, you know, I originally thought in the first trailer that Rhys Ifans, I mean, if you're going to bring Rhys Ifans in, I thought that, oh, this is going to be either the same Kurt Connors following the events of No Way Home, or it's going to be like a variant of Kurt Connors. Like, I mean, come on, it's a Sony Venom movie. I assume he's playing Kurt Connors, but I've actually seen some people theorizing that he's playing Knull. We didn't get an up close, you know, face shot of Knull in this trailer, but there is like a side profile of Knull.
Good casting.
Yeah, and people were like, that looks like Rhys Ifans. So I'm kind of, what do you guys think? Do you think maybe he's playing Knull?
Or at least
fine,
you know, kind of, you know, in the comic books, he had Knull had almost like proxies, like a proxy of Knull on Earth. Ooh. I also, you know, I wonder similarly if like there is still going to be a connection, like, you know, the Chiwetel Ejiofor is playing a military person in this movie, but is he not maybe going to be Baron Mordo? Is there a chance that like that connects? So,
I would love that. I mean, it's weird. I know the Hollywood, the MCU is it's like their movie star reserves are running dangerously low, you know, for these superhero movies. Yeah.
Sorry, Colton, go ahead.
I love the idea of a Baron Mordo who, you know, just never mastered the mystic arts. He joined up. That's kind of cool.
It's like he felt compelled to go to battle, but instead it was through the military industrial complex. So
Mordo's a rule follower too. Like when we first meet him, he's very much a by the book guy. So I
would love a post credit or mid credit scene where like he is like sitting at his desk and you start to see the sling ring open up somewhere, like as if someone.
Yeah, see. But that's the thing with these Sony movies, though. I think it's church and state. I think the two are kept completely different. It's really a shame. And this goes back to like, you know, Alfred Woodard playing a role in Luke Cage and then having a completely different role in Captain America Civil War. Right. I get it's supposed to be connected than connected.
I mean, Mahershala Ali is going to be in the same position in about.
That's true. That's true.
But here's the thing,
though? Is he?
Yeah. Here's the thing with Sony. They want their cake and to eat it too. They want to play in the MCU, but then they don't want to, you know, they want to also go do their own thing and make monstrosities like Madam Web and Morbius. Maybe Kraven will be good. We'll just have to see.
Come on, I'm bullish on Kraven. The one thing usually, Kraven can't hunt down is my enthusiasm for how the movie's going to be.
You got to admit, though, usually when a studio finishes a movie and then delays it several times, it's a good sign. It means that they're just waiting for the perfect moment to make a lot of money off of it.
Or they're terrified.
I mean, that was the case. That was the case with Titanic. Like, you know,
If I were advising Sony, I would say take the money. And I'm not saying sell the characters back. I would just say they license the characters. Cut a deal that licenses them right back to Marvel, where they can just money.
I do envision this scenario where Amy Pascal or someone at Sony just holds like a Spider-Man action figure and a gun to his head every time she's like on a Google Meet call with Kevin Feige, and she's like, "You do one thing to piss me off, you never have Spider-Man in your movies again. I swear to God, you do one thing to piss me off." Spider-Man gets it. And then Kevin Feige's like, it's okay. Make Craven. We're just not gonna have him in any of the other movies. That's all right. You can make her. You go ahead and make a Hobgoblin movie. You go ahead. You make whatever you want. You want to make an electrocutioner movie. You do that too.
Well,
That's
I
fine.
want that Aunt May movie, Tommy.
Well, Aunt May and Silver Sable. That's what I'm waiting on. The thing is, though, that street level movie would have worked so well. There were rumors of Sydney Sweeney as the Black Cat. Like, it just fit perfectly. And I'm afraid that what we're seeing here is Sony once again just not learning their lesson. And I don't know what it's going to take. Like, I think when Venom 1 made a lot of money, it was the worst thing that could have happened to these Spider-Man movies, because it empowered Sony to just feel like they didn't need Marvel, didn't need the MCU. And as a consequence, she was in this Amazon studying spiders before she died.
Before her mom
and it has something to do with Spider-Man, I think. Like, there's just so many things here where, frankly, I can sum it up pretty quickly. It's not cool. Like, these movies aren't cool. Venom Horse is extremely cool. And I'm going to end it on that, because I want to hear from everybody in the comments about what you guys think is going on here. Do you think that Knull can play a part in the MCU? Do you think this is all going to be catered to bringing Venom into the MCU? Should they even bother bringing Tom Hardy's Venom into the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Tommy, tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me at Tommy Bechtold, and you can find me in Spencerport tonight watching the Buffalo Bills beat the Miami Dolphins.
Okay, Colton, where can the people find you? I'm betting not somewhere watching football.
I'm going to be watching the Miami Dolphins beat what was the other team? I don't know. You can find me here at ScreenCrush, and you can find me on Twitter at Colton Ogburn, Sports Ball.
That's right. And I'm going to be watching the Los Angeles team of Sports Ball fighting the other team from Chicago, and I don't like that other team. I'll tell you that much.
You guys, come on.
I'll tell you that much, guys. No, after what the Bengals did last Sunday, I don't want to talk about it. But like I said, we want to hear from all of you guys and get your thoughts down in the comments, or at me, or on Twitter, or any of these other people on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe, smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.